Good evening, everyone. This is a regularly scheduled City Council meeting, first one of the year, on January 6th. Could we please start the meeting with the prayer? Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be good for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Counsel Milonazo.
Here.
Counsel Rourke.
Here.
Counsel Samaras.
Here.
Counsel Belanja.
Here.
Mayor Elliott.
Here.
Counsel Kennedy.
Here.
Counsel Leahy.
Here.
Counsel Martin.
Here.
Counsel Mercia.
Here.
That's 9 present.
9 present. Before we begin the meeting, I'd just like to introduce some students, our guests who are here this evening. Some are up on the balcony, some here on the floor. They are students at the University of Massachusetts at Lowell. They are taking a class, an intense class. In fact, teacher is the instructor. Here, Erica, could you want to just come up for a second and just explain? They're taking an intense course, community psychology, and the first thing that the professor does is have them come to a city council meeting. So, interestingly enough, but welcome students. We appreciate you taking time to come to a council meeting, and we will try to not let you down, but Professor.
Yeah, thank you. Hi. I met some of you in the past, and this is my 6th January bringing some students here from UMass Lowell, and the course is community psychology. It's an undergraduate level course that most of these students are actually not psychology majors. There's some business majors and plastics engineering major up there and some business majors. And the intense semester, they earn an entire 3 credits in just 12 days. So these are a studious bunch, and we're studying how easy and yet how challenging community change can be as a process. So we start off our 12 days together by coming here and meeting a few of you and just observing how the process works on any typical day, because you don't know that we're coming, so you don't have anything special to prepare, but we're glad that you welcome us, and it's always a good learning experience. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll proceed with the first item on the agenda, and that is under the city clerk. We have the minutes of the city council meeting of December 16th. We also have minutes from the educational partnerships subcommittee that was held on December 13th. Entertain a motion for acceptance by Councilor Mercia. Excuse me, second by Councilor Milonazo. Discussion on these minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. The minutes are accepted and placed on file. Next section of the agenda, we have communications. We have some public hearings, but it's not 7 o'clock yet, so we'll move on to communications from the city manager. We have motion responses A through J. Questions on motion responses? Council Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me begin by thanking the administration and specifically Mary Callery for the report on the going from the GIC to Municipal Blue Cross Blue Shield. Obviously, a lot of work went into this report, but what I'd like to do, if it's okay with my colleagues, is to refer it back to the Finance Subcommittee just for a little bit more information to kind of drill down on some of the numbers. Again, the report does specifically state that I don't want to use the word locked in, but we're under contract with the GIC for another 3 years. But I think in preparation for that, if we could get more information from the administration working through the Finance Subcommittee. So I'd put that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Council Milonazo, second by Council O'Rourke to refer item number E, which is a response to a motion made by Councilor. Discussion on this? All those in favor of sending that to the Finance Subcommittee signify by saying aye. And the opposed, that motion carries. We'll schedule a meeting probably in a few weeks, Councilor.
Thank you.
Further questions, discussion? Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. Through you, the manager, on see the detour signage on PV Street. So I read the report, and I was just wondering, I can see the reasoning why they did that, but the feedback that I got from the neighborhood and from a neighborhood meeting that I went to is just, people don't think that it's the safest route. When you go to PV Street, it's kind of a fast road. Halfway through, you're kind of blind spot. You can't really get a clear vision of the traffic coming at you. And then when you get to the top of a PV Street to get out onto School Street, it's hard to look to the left as you're trying to wait for the traffic on the right. So, I mean, I would ask and see what my colleagues think, but I really think, you know, I know it's the shortest route, and I don't think it's less confusing if we just went up to the main roads. That way people have the stop signs, the street lights, and it's a little safer of a route. So I would ask that maybe you take a look at this and get some feedback from my colleagues, but people around there were asking if we could change it. So, and again, I see the reasoning why, but the people that use it the most were asking if it could be changed. So I'll see what you think of that, and we'll
Mr.
get
Manager?
back to that. So,
Yeah, well, you know, detours are obviously used for people who aren't familiar with the area.
yeah,
And the purpose of a detour is to get them back onto their route in the shortest, quickest time period. So from my standpoint, I mean, I know the area well because I live near there, and the people who live there would know on their own to go up to Middlesex Street.
Right.
And that. So for the neighbors, they still have the opportunity to go in a different way, and they won't get lost. But we'll certainly take another look and see if there's a better way of doing it than the current detour arrangement.
okay. I mean, it's not much further. You're talking another couple 100 yards up, and then you're still going across and then coming back. I don't think we're going to get lost. I'm just more concerned with the safety factor, so.
We'll take a look at it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Council. All set?
Yeah.
Further discussion on motion responses, Council Mercia, then Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On my motion to refer it to the city manager about the Bay State Marathon and how to reroute it or try to find a way that would be more effective and more smooth traveling for our residents in the city. I know this is a very important event. I would never want to stop it, but we did have a discussion, the superintendent of police, Bill Taylor, along with the Bay State Marathon director, Glenn Stewart. They met to talk about this, and many options in terms of rerouting the race is at a minimum, but they were willing to re-examine the course and work together. But because of this discussion, and I firmly believe that discussion is always positive, and it's always a good thing, because out of that discussion spawned a preliminary discussion about holding an outdoor Oktoberfest-type celebration at the Songus Arena at the conclusion of the race. So not only will we'll have 4,000 runners in here, but they added to the festivities and the event to have participate with local aspects of involve the local restaurants and things and the local merchants. So out of a motion comes a lot more discussion and plenty of things to happen, and that's a good thing for our businesses and the local restaurants and merchants. So thank you very much, Superintendent, for helping. Discussion is always an important thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to comment on J, which is the Smith-Baker Center update. As we know, the Smith-Baker building right across the street here is one of our finest gems in the city. That's been vacant since the senior center vacated well over 10 years ago, and it's been far too long. And just to give you a little bit of history on the RFP process on this property, that it went out for RFP October of 2011. At the time, the deadline was extended till April of 2012, and we had no submittals for proposals on the building. So we are trying it again. I would like to commend the mayor and his Blue Ribbon Committee attacking this problem head-on, and that it's going to go for RFP again in the next couple weeks. and the deadline will be mid-April. And this time, the $300,000 asking price, if you will, minimum bid, is going to be reimbursed at time of completion or rehabilitation of the, if you will, of the property. So I think it's a better way to go about it. It's a better incentive to get this thing up and running. It looks like it's going to be restricted for the use of arts, culture, and dining, which will be a win for the downtown and surrounding. So very excited to see something going on with this building that's been vacant for far too long. So I just want to commend, again, the mayor and his committee and all those involved. Great job, well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rourke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With regards to motion response H, to thank the manager for, bringing back the senior inspector and also the formation of the impact team with regards to blighted properties. We do have Director Slagle here and Chief Taylor. They'd just come up and explain the process of how it would work if the impact team would be called into duty and see what would happen.
Thank you. Mr. Slagle and Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe it's fair to say we've been working very hard under the direction of the city manager so far, and we did it in calendar year 2014 with ramping up the program to use development services staff and inspectional staff to do a rapid response to properties in the city that had come onto the police department's radar for criminal activity. We've been working really closely with the police department to identify properties that they see as problems to the neighborhoods. And then we try to use the tools that we have at our disposal to diagnose and do everything we can to eliminate if there's a problem, if the property is causing a problem. We have those teams generally involve a senior staff member. One of the goals of having the senior building inspector position reinstituted is to have that person be one of their primary jobs to respond to needs for impact team visits. In addition, we'll have a health inspector and work closely with the police department and fire prevention staff to gain access to the building to determine if there's any code violations. Often you'll find in situations where there are properties that have been problems for the police, there are significant code violations in those units as well. And we cite the landlord for violations and do our best to convince the landlord to rapidly improve the condition of the property. What this often means is that the landlord puts assets into the property, and then it becomes a property that they can charge more rent for. That oftentimes has the effect of moving a problem element out of the location. It also, if the property is in such bad shape that we have to condemn the property, then the tenants in that property are vacated, and that sometimes grants some relief to the neighborhood as well if the tenants themselves were the source of the problem. So.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Slagle. Chief?
Through you, Mayor, to Councilor Rourke. In addition to everything that Mr. Slagle explained about the work that we are doing currently, mostly reactionary in terms of our response to violent incidents across the city, my goal certainly, and I know the city manager and the council would advocate for this, is to be forward-thinking and try and be out there ahead of the curve. So our new community policing strategy involves problem-solving, integrating the police officers in the field, along with dedicated crime analysts, to try and be preemptive and identify these problem properties before they become the scene of the next violent crime. And so that's really what we're trying to accomplish with this community policing strategy. One key component of that is going to be the substation that the council approved in the Lower Centerville neighborhood. That will certainly utilize as a hub to put our problem-solving teams. We hope to have inspectional services there and the various other city agencies, the fire department, health services, that can work with these problem-solving teams to identify the problem locations and try and resolve the problem before it becomes a crime generator in the community. So that's where we intend to go.
Very good. Further questions, Councilor Rourke?
Well, great, thank you very much.
Councilor Milan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is very good news for our neighborhoods, but I do have a question if I could, either to Mr. Slagle or to the chief. The receivership program, are we putting that back into play as a result of some of these efforts in the neighborhoods now?
Yes, the receivership program was, we had an RFQ that was done in the fall. The first attempt at an RFQ had one respondent, so we had to put it out for qualifications again. We did get multiple respondents to that request for qualifications, and all the respondents have been approved. So the goal is over the next month or month and a half to work with the law department to put together petitions for receivership on a number of properties and have the receivers take those properties over, so that in the spring, and the first time they can start doing work on the properties, there'll be a catalog of receivership properties that we can start clearing up, and we do have a list that we've been working on for the past several months of properties that we're going to be able to work on.
Okay, great. Thank you for the update. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council. Further questions for the chief or the Development, Inspectional Service Development Director? No? Council Kennedy on this issue or something else? Okay. We'll go Council Leahy, then Council Kennedy.
All right. I just want to, I had a couple more questions on the Smith-Baker report.
Right.
With the RFPs that go out, is there, through you to the manager, is there any, what's the overall plan? Are we tying it in with any type of parking structure downtown? So, I mean, I would think that'd be a key, you know, if someone's going to bid on that building, there was talk of us purchasing some land around here and doing a parking lot. I think that would be key to this project.
Mr. Manager?
The RFP, and Patty, you can explain it in a second, but we have located, or we designate places that people can park in the evening, like you have the employee parking lot on Market, then you have the one behind the library. Could you just, there were more parking that we designate?
We've got a parking map in here, and within a quarter-mile radius, there's more than 3,000 parking spaces available. We had thought about potentially having the Moody Street City Lot available for parking in the evenings, depending on the venue. So we'll be looking to that based on feedback from people who come to see the building and want to purchase it. But there are more than 3,000 parking spaces within a quarter mile of Smith-Baker available.
Okay. Do you think that's too far, though, for, I mean, people are lazy. We want to park right up front.
And I agree with you. One of the parking areas we're talking about is the garage by the Songus Arena.
Yeah.
So it is a long walk. No, parking is always going to be an issue for that area, but we're trying to designate as many as we can for availability and work with any developer to make as many parking spots as we can available near the site. But I agree with you. Some of the parking spots we took, I probably wouldn't walk from.
Okay. No, just because I think that's going to be a key part to this, to get somebody to come in and spend that type of money to renovate that. And if it is going to be some sort of an arts center, you know, we have to have the convenience of safe, clean parking for them. So.
I
All right.
agree.
Thank you.
Okay, further questions on the Smith-Baker response by members? No?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Luckham. Council Kennedy?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Just very briefly, it's good to get the response on the police vehicle inventory. It seems like this report has a smaller number of vehicles than the last report that we got from the prior administration last year or the year before, but I have not had an opportunity to compare the two reports, so maybe I'll be back with something on the agenda for this after I've done that. But thank you for doing it. It's good to get it done.
Chief, is that the case? I'm sure we'll get some more information, more questions, but are there less vehicles than the prior?
I think so, and I think by way of explanation, what we tried to do in this particular report was we went through it very detailed, and we tried to put all the vehicles that we have in what I think is an appropriate category so that they can, the understanding of terms of their use. marked vehicles, unmarked vehicles, which are detective vehicles, are used for administrative purposes. Certainly the undercover vehicles, which we have chosen not to give any descriptive information for obvious reasons. And then there's utility vehicles, and then there's what we call non-vehicles, non-registered vehicles. Those are the signboards, trailers, things like that. And so what we did was we also, in the process of constantly reevaluating vehicles and discarding some as we bring new vehicles into the fleet, we try and get rid of them. I have a general policy within the organization that for every vehicle that goes in, I want at least one, if not two, to go back out the other way and dispose of in an appropriate manner, because many of them are of little use. They're hanging around for use for parts or something like that. So I think it's appropriate we continually try to whittle down those number of vehicles within the organization.
Thank you, Chief. Council Leahy.
I just wanted to say to the chief, it's a good report, and we're glad that you assembled this for us. I still would like to see the cars in the neighborhoods at night. We can work on that, but the report's good, and it's good to see that we're dwindling, we're taking the number down, so we're not holding on to them. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Further questions on motion responses? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to accept the report and place on file by Councilor Samaras, second by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. These reports are accepted and placed on file. We'll move on to another communication. Communication is to accept resignation of Patrick F. Sheridan from the Board of Parks. Entertain a motion to accept the resignation by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Kennedy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. The letter, just by way of explanation, Mr. Sheridan did indicate that his job has taken him to Seattle, Washington, where he works for Amazon, but he has enjoyed his time. So we did send a letter of thanks. Okay, so we'll move on to the next item. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye, and the opposed motion carries. The resignation is accepted. Still on the communications, we have a communication from the city manager to request out-of-state travel for the Lowell Police Department. I entertain a motion to waive the full reading by Council Kennedy, second by Council Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. That motion carries. Second reading by title. City manager requests approval out of state for one person, Lowell Police Department. Move approval by Councilor Martin, second by Council Leahy. All those in, roll call.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion is accepted. Moving on to votes from the city manager. The first vote of the evening from the city manager is to apply, accept, and expend a grant for MIS, authorizing the city manager to apply, accept, and expend funds from a grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Information Technology Division, along with the Executive Office of Finance and Administration, to be administered by the City of Lowell. The City of Lowell Management Information System have been asked to lead the development of a collaborative informational portal for uses across the Commonwealth, which will be the first portal of its kind in the country. Now therefore be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell that the City Council and the City of Lowell hereby authorize the city manager to apply, accept, and expend funds in the grant from a grant in the amount of $375,000 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Information Technology Division, along with the EOFA, to be administered by the City of Lowell MIS Department. Questions?
Move approval.
Move approval by Council Mercia. I'm sorry, move approval by Council Mercia, second by Council Milonazo. Mr. Manager on the motion.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think this shows that our MIS department is on the cutting edge in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This is an initiative where all the municipalities are going to share information on a portal. For example, say another municipality down the road wanted to institute an ordinance relative to sandwich boards in their downtown. They'd be able to go onto this portal and find our ordinance that we did. They can't do that right now. And I just have to commend Moran Fernandez in the MIS department that the Commonwealth wants our MIS department to be the lead in developing this portal. So congratulations to the MIS department.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Further questions? Second reading will be by title, I'm sorry. In Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, in City Council's a vote authorizing the city manager to apply, accept, and expend funds from a grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Informational Technology Division along with the EOFA to be administered by the City of Lowell. Motion was made by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. Roll call.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. Approaching 7 o'clock, we have several public hearings, a couple of public hearings, scheduled. First general public hearing is an ordinance to create one public safety research and planning director. It's a full-time grant-funded salary in the Lowell Police Department to be used by the Lowell Police Department and the Lowell Fire Department. We'll now open up this portion of the hearing for those wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance. Those wishing to speak in favor? In favor, seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. We'll now open up this portion of the public hearing for anyone wishing to speak in opposition. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition, seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed as well. What is the wish of the body?
Move approval.
Move to approve by Council Rourke, second by Council Samaras. Discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas. We have another public hearing scheduled for 7 o'clock. The second public hearing is an ordinance to amend to Chapter 243-23, Section 1, titled Sidewalk Signs and/or Sandwich Boards. That has been advertised. We will now open up this portion of the public hearing for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition, seeing none, we will close that portion of the public hearing as well. What is the wish of the body? Council Martin, and then Council Leahy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, I understand the Historic Board had weighed in on these changes and is in support of this ordinance.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, Mr. Stoll was here this evening to answer any questions or to indicate their support. They worked very closely with the law department in drafting these regulations.
Okay, thank you.
No questions. Council Leahy, questions?
Yeah, I just had a few concerns where I sit on the Commission for Disabilities Board. They just want to make sure that we make sure that the sandwich boards aren't a nuisance or tripping hazard, and I'm sure we will, but every street, the width of the sidewalk is different, so they just wanted to make sure that we speak up and we say that we make sure that they're regulated and they're always in a safe place for people who can't see them or need to get by with a wheelchair or whatever, so, thank you.
And you'll see in the ordinance that we specify that they can only extend out so far from the business, and that's to allow for pedestrian and wheelchair access on the streets, on the sidewalks, I mean. So, and we'll keep an eye on it, especially at the very beginning, to make sure that it's going smoothly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Samaras and Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott. I also want to thank the Law Department and the Historic Preservation Commission for their hard work in this and the effort of Ms. Stoll. in making this happen. This, for some people, would seem like a simple request, but this is something that will help our small business people in the city of Lowell, and anything that will help anyone have a better business, a better means of advertising, a very reasonable means of advertising. But I do believe it will work in the downtown and it will help. But I think something like this, as simple as it might seem, was a worthwhile effort because it's been done right. It's a good ordinance, and I think it will work. And I want to thank everybody, and especially the Historic Preservation Commission, because they do value what happens in the downtown, and their willingness to work with us is a good sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say that, that this is a great example of what can happen when the council, the historic board, the law department, and the business community all work together for one cause. This is what can happen. This is a very positive thing. It may seem like a sandwich board is small, but it is not. It makes a difference to the downtown merchants. They spoke loud and clear that this is very helpful to them. Many of them have percentages to back that up, that when they put a board up, it goes up. And the historic board saw that and made adjustments because we are here to help businesses, and we need to give our downtown merchants every advantage possible. And this is what we can achieve when we work together. So I think this is great. And I notice we also have Steve Stoll on hand tonight. If he could briefly, in a nutshell, describe the new ordinances or what businesses can and can't do and the restrictions that may be placed for the folks at home and businesses that may be watching. So I'd just like to hear briefly in a nutshell. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Welcome. Thank you, Council. Mrs. Stoll, just generally speaking, what this ordinance will afford the merchants?
We worked closely with the solicitor on adding in some elements of the ordinance that describe basics like size, location, placement, type of sandwich board, and we researched many other communities and what they had, and we modeled what other places did that we felt fit in here. So you're allowed a certain size, a certain frame of wood or metal, and we think it's going to work out very nicely for the businesses. We're even hoping to possibly purchase some initial ones to help, provide as incentives for people to replace ones they have now or need new ones. So we're all in favor of it. And our chairman sends his regards. He wished to be here tonight, but he has other responsibilities he had to tend to. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stoll. All set, Councilor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Further discussion? Roll call. Motion to approve by Council Martin, second by Council Leahy. Roll call.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion passes. That concludes the general public hearings that have been advertised. We will revert back to votes of the city manager. And this is item 4.2. This is a vote to accept a gift of $2,000 from the Federal Credit Union for Lowell Student Police Academy. Entertain a motion to waive the full reading by Council Kennedy, seconded by Council Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, that motion carries. Second reading will be by title. Vote accept gift from Commonwealth of Massachusetts City of Lowell in City Council is a vote. Authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept a gift from Digital Federal Credit Union for $2,000 for use by the City of Lowell Police Department in support of the Lowell Student Academy. Move to approve by Council Mercia, second by Council Milonazo. Roll call.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. Moving on to 4.3, another vote from the city manager. Vote to authorize the city manager to execute agreement with Hazen and Sawyer PC regarding stormwater, wastewater transport, and treatment facility for improvements for a 5-year period. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Rourke, seconded by Council Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. Motion carries. Second reading by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the City of Lowell, and City Council is a vote to authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with Hazen and Sawyer, PC, relating to stormwater, wastewater transport, and treatment facility improvements for a period of 5 years. Questions, discussion? Council Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the city manager. Is there a cost associated with this? I didn't see it in the vote. I know it's a 5-year contract, but I just didn't know.
Mr. Manager?
Yes, I'll just ask Mr. Young to come up from the wastewater utility.
Thank you.
Yeah, the 5-year cost for that contract is $2,450,000.
$2 million?
$450,000.
And is that in line with what we've paid in the past, or is it?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mark, is this the first time this company got this bid?
Yes. It's the first time that this firm has been going to work with the City of Lowell. Through the RFQ process, Councilor, we tailored our RFQ to have 5 different tasks rather than have one engineering firm like in the past do all our engineering initiatives. We want to divide it up and sort of sprinkle the infield and see if there's other firms that could qualify and meet our qualifications to do some of the work. And it happened that through this RFQ process, we actually have 5 separate engineering firms that will be doing different tasks that we are asking them to do. Mm-hmm. We're here before council because this is the one out of the 5 that's for 5 years. The others are for 3 years.
Okay.
So we give them other firms a chance to see what they can do. If they can impress us in 3 years, they have maybe opportunity for further work. If not, we can move on to other firms.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Further questions for Mr. Young? Seeing none. Motion to approve by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. Roll call.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion carries. Next item is 4.4. We have a, is that the one that's pulled? This motion has been pulled by the city manager and will be placed on the agenda in a couple of weeks. So we move on to 4.5 is a vote. Authorize the manager to execute a disclosure statement under Chapter 268A, Section 19. And City Council is a vote to authorize the mayor on behalf of the City of Lowell appointing authority to execute a disclosure pursuant to Mass General Laws 268A, Section 19, and any other applicable sections based upon determination that the city manager is authorized to conduct school union negotiations on behalf of the Lowell School Committee. The city manager has an immediate family member, his sister-in-law, who has a financial interest in pending teacher union contract. The Lowell School Committee has authorized the city manager to participate in all negotiations on behalf of the committee. Now therefore be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell that the City Council authorize the city manager to participate in all school union negotiations, and that both the appearance of conflict under Section 19 conflict will not, in the opinion of the council, interfere with the city manager's ability to represent the best interests of the city and act impartially at all times. Second reading by title. That was a second reading, excuse me. Discussion on this. Entertain a motion to approve by Council Martin, seconded by Council Leahy. Roll call.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas. We move on to the next section of the agenda, Section 5, orders from the city manager. We have an order for a 60-day trial on Dane Street. And I'll entertain a motion to waive the full reading of this by Council Belanger, seconded by Council Kennedy. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. That motion carries. And City Council is an order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof and thereof temporary experimental regulations. Temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Move approval by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Roll call.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. Moving on to section 6, we have constable bonds. We have the communication from the city manager who is requesting approval for constable bond for Patrick M. Dunn. Questions? Motion to approve by Councilor Samaras, second by Councilor Rourke. Roll call.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas. Motion is approved.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Mercia.
since we're still under the purview of the city manager,
Yes.
I would just like to take a point of information through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager and ask if he could explain the 6.3% increase in the taxes. The reason I say this is and ask for this point of information is because I did hear the manager explain this on the radio, and he did a tremendous job. But it's not everybody that are tuning in this evening that happen to hear that, and there is some concern as to how did it become 6.3% when they thought it was 3.2, whatever. But so if we could have the city manager just briefly explain.
Motion to suspend the rules to allow a point of information.
Yes.
Motion by Councilor, to suspend the rules by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, that motion carries. Point of information, motion, Mr. Manager, point of information by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Mr. Manager, response to the 6.3 increase as requested by Councilor.
Okay, first of all, this increase in the taxes relates to the fiscal year 15 budget, which began last July 1st. That's the period of time we're talking about, last July 1st through June 30th of this year. The 3.5% figure is the increase in the tax levy that we needed in order to meet our expenditures. So what the tax levy is actual revenue that we need to produce in order to pay the expenses. So the 3.5% of our tax levy equated to approximately $7 million. We needed $7 million more this fiscal year. So now how do you get the $7 million? Well, you have to spread that $7 million out among all of the taxpayers in the city of Lowell. The commercial taxpayers, industrial, and residential payers all share in the $7 million. And that is dictated by the value of your property. And when you looked at all of the values of the property and all those taxpayer issues, is that the actual tax rate to be spread among all of the taxpayers was 2.25%. Now, if your house didn't change in value at all, your tax bill would have gone up $68. But depending on whether your house went down or your house value went up, that's how much your tax bill was going to increase. Now, unfortunately, in Lowell, there are some properties that went down, and therefore, their tax bill would go down. But there are other properties whose value went up. For example, my house increased by $17,000. Therefore, that was an 8% increase in my tax bill. The average, and we work on averages, the average single-family residential bill went up the actual value of a single-family home in Lowell rose 4% this fiscal year. So you take the increase in the value of their home, coupled with the increase in the tax rate, 2.25%, and that's how you get the 6.3%.
Thank you,
Councilor Mercia.
Mr. Manager. It would almost seem like this particular scenario. Let's say that I lived in Centerville near the Varnum School, and a school, of course, generates no property tax, and it was vacant, the Varnum School, let's say, was vacant for quite some time. Then all of a sudden, the city offered it as surplus and put it out to bid, and someone bid on it and made condo units out of this property that used to be a school and generated no taxes, if you lived within the immediate area and now this once vacant piece of property became condo units and the value went up, then it's most likely that the surrounding properties, the value would increase on their homes, therefore raising their taxes a little bit. So this is similar to what's happening. Having said that, I petitioned all my neighbors not to sell their homes so that the property doesn't value go up. But anyway, but that's similar to what I wanted the people at home to hear, because not everybody listens to the radio and not everybody heard the explanation that you gave. So it's just to try to have them a little bit more informed as to what took place here. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
And Counsel, I think the example that you gave was an excellent example, and I think it's a good news for people in the city of Lowell. It's a good economic indicator that the values of our properties are going up, which means that the economy in Lowell is better.
Thank you.
Further questions for the manager on this? Council Belanger.
I would like to comment too, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. And I do want to commend Councilor Mercia for bringing this forward, because, you know, it was in the newspapers during the holidays, and I think we've all received questions, if you will, on this, and rightfully so. It's a huge percentage when people see that. But nonetheless, this council did approve, going into the budget season, a 3.5% tax increase. And on the higher side, with assessed values going up, to get to the manager's point that he was alluding to, that some assessed values are higher than others on single families, and with the combination of the two, on the high side, the total percentage, Mr. Manager, was around 6%, correct, on the extreme high side, on the single family. But, you know, I'm not trying to sugarcoat a tax increase here whatsoever. But, you know, it is a good indicator that in the newspaper article, it indicated it's among the highest among gateway cities. Well, that's a good thing, okay? That means we're doing something right when property values are on the rise, such as they are in Lowell. But along with that comes higher taxes. So I think we're heading in the right direction. When other gateway cities are lying dormant and staying flat, our values are going up. So I think that's a great indicator. You know, I'm sorry to see for some homeowners that high of a percentage along with them. I mean, it went up for everybody across the board, but I think there are some positive signs that come along with this increase, that Lowell is heading in the right direction, and our property values are doing great. And I think that's a good sign, once again. So I think that's a point that bears mentioning, and again, not trying to justify a high on that extreme high side, but there is a positive twist to this. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council. Further questions, comments? There's no motion, so thank you for responding to that point of information, Mr. Manager. We'll move back to the agenda. We'll go to Section 7. We have reports from the subcommittee. I don't believe there's been any subcommittee meetings since our last meeting.
Mr. Mayor?
Any announcements?
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yeah, to do a public safety subcommittee on January 20th, 5 p.m. At that point in time, there's going to be a reference to Councilor Kennedy's motion about the matrix study. The police chief has communicated to me that the matrix study is done and complete. He'd like to roll it out on the 20th of January. If it's okay with my fellow committee members, 20th, that would be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further announcements? Councilor Martin.
Yes, I've scheduled for next Tuesday a meeting of the Technology Subcommittee to discuss various issues, including primarily Comcast, but other matters that have been referred to the committee as well.
What time is that, Councilor?
5:30.
5:30, Subcommittee on Technology. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to next section. We have petitions. We have claim. We have one claim for property. We have one claim for personal injury. Entertain a motion to refer to the Law Department for a report and recommendation by Councilor Martin, second by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to council motions. The first motion of the night is by Councilor Kennedy. Request City Council reappoint Michael Q. Geary to a 3-year term as City Clerk for the City of Lowell. Second by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Kennedy.
I think the motion speaks for itself. The city clerk's appointment has, the 3-year appointment has expired. It's time for a new 3-year appointment. I think that he's done a great job over the past 3 years, and so I'm happy to bring in this motion to reappoint him for an additional 3-year term.
Thank you, Counselor. Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is a good motion, and one that I will certainly support. I just don't know at what point we talk about salary going forward. Is this something that Councilor Kennedy had in mind relative to what we'll be paying our clerk for the next 3 years if we extend this contract, or?
He is, he's part of the grid.
He's part of the grid.
the salary
Okay.
structure, so I won't speak for the clerk, maybe the clerk can speak for himself.
I am under the salary grid, but I've been under that salary grid for the past 3 years with not an ability to move, so there could be some movement by the council to move me up on the grid.
Is this, I don't want to impede, holding up the contract, but is it something that the maker of the motion would want to refer to the Personnel Subcommittee?
Councilor Kennedy,
Yeah,
as the chair.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion is just for the reappointment, but I'd have no objection to amending the motion to include having it also be referred to the Personnel Subcommittee for a report and recommendation of the council at some time in the future.
Okay. Motion by Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Mercia to amend this motion to refer this item also to the Clerk Auditor Oversight Subcommittee, correct? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. On the motion as amended, Councilor Martin?
So, yeah, just to be clear, I think the motion is to make the reappointment and refer the salary issue to the subcommittee, right? Yep.
Is there a motion to approve the motion as amended by Councilor Belanger, second by Councilor Kennedy. Roll call.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Samaras.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy.
Yes.
Councilor Leahy.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Thank you.
9 yeas, motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you for your hard work, and we'll refer that to the subcommittee as well. Next motion of the evening by Councilor Mercia. Request city manager indicate our concern to the state that we would like them to install bumper strips across the road at the end of the Lowell connector that starts at the 35-mile-an-hour sign and intermittently goes to the end to alert drivers to be aware of an impending end of the road. Seconded by Councilor Milonazo. Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This particular motion is for the safety purposes of an area of highway that becomes such a tragedy every now and then, where people come off of the highway and they don't even know that it's the end of the road, and they destroy other people's property. Not only that, they get killed. It's a very dangerous area. Dangerous in fact that we have police officers there patrolling it every now and then, pulling people over if they're speeding. We have the proper signage, we get the proper lighting, and I'm glad to know that those, 55 or 100 lights all the way down finally got turned on. I couldn't figure out why the state would spend that money and time to put all the lights along the connector and not ever turn all of them on. So finally they've turned on, but there are ways that we can make that area a lot safer. I know that if you go down most highways and people tend to be tired or whatever, they tend to go back and forth, and when you get into a certain part of the other side, you hear the noise that, like you're going over bumps, and it makes like almost that you have a flat tire, so you become alerted again. I'm thinking that in a certain portion of that roadway where you're coming past the 35-mile-an-hour signs, if they could do the stripping going across the road to alert them that maybe they are half asleep or they don't know that they're coming, but it would alert them a little bit better. And someone pointed out that the bumper strips that are making that noise should not be in the immediate area of the houses there. If it could be back a little bit further where the sign 35 miles an hour is, that their industry there, so it wouldn't, but it still would be close enough to not be right at the end, but it would alert you before it would be too late, so that would be an important factor. If, Mr. Manager, you could write a letter to the state, Region 4 or whatever is responsible, to see if that might be an option that they might want to do. And secondly, when I'm talking about bumper strips, I'm not talking about bumps raising the road to like bumper strips in that respect, but there's a certain type of, I don't know what the term would be, that they shred the street so that it isn't lifted up, so that when the state plows come by, they rip that apart even further. They're like grooves in the ground so that when the plows go by, they're not destroying any of that bumper strip. They might know what I'm referring to. I don't know the technical names. I'm trying to make it an area that we've thought of everything so that people don't get hurt or killed or maimed. It's just so bad that we can't understand why people don't stop right there, but I'm thinking instead of the strips being this way, if they're the long way across, that might alert people to wake up and know that something's happening. Do I have a flat, or it'll startle them to wake up so they'll be more alert. So that's the reason I'm asking for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's actually a terrific motion. I think what the council is referring to is if you ever go to a toll booth up north or down south, they have these strips that are in front of the toll booth. I think would be a perfect idea for the end of the connector that would notify people to, slow down. You come into the end of the connector. So, it's a terrific idea. I think, those strips that, if anybody goes to a certain toll up north, especially, they're all there now. So I think it'd be a valuable asset to have for the connector. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kennedy.
Yeah, I think that, Mr. Mayor, I think it's a very good motion as well, and I think that the strips that Councilor Mercier is talking about, I think at the junction of 93 and 95, where that big circle is, the big exit, I think as you come into that, they have the strips there for the very same reason. So they do it in the Commonwealth, and if they do it there, they should be able to do it at the connector, especially given the accident history at the end of the connector.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next motion of the evening, Councilor Lee, could you take the chair? I have three.
No, I have
there's
another one.
Oh, I apologize, 9.3. Next motion, again by Councilor Mercier, request city manager instruct the state to install a guardrail with reflectors in front of the property that is constantly being hit on Gorham Street. Second by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Mercier.
Yes, in conjunction with the same area, I did some time ago, many years ago, made a motion on this very floor to have a guardrail put in front of that property that got hit again for maybe the 10th time. And the state did oblige. They put it next door where the people are never getting whacked. So I don't know how they don't understand that. Not that I want it moved from there either. We could leave it there as well. But where I truly, really wanted it, they didn't put it there. So I'm asking them again if they could please put it there. Incidentally, if you'll notice, and my colleague, Councilor Leahy, to bring a vehicle home, the state police bring their vehicles home, and that vehicle got hit right in the driveway. So sometimes it isn't best to bring your vehicle home. But I would like a guardrail where it should be. And I want reflectors. Maybe reflectors would help too for people to see something shining or whatever. And I want to say that these people have so much patience. I don't know how they could continually have their insurance fix the wall and then it's damaged again some months later. It just goes on and on. These people are taxpayers. I've asked for years ago to have a guardrail there. I don't know why we can't get it right in front of where they're always getting hit. So if we could try one more time, I hope it's the last time I bring this motion forward to get it there after the wall is fixed.
Thank you, Counselor. Mr. Manager, all set?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Further discussion on this motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Counselor Leahy?
9.4, next motion of the night by Mayor Elliott, request City Council to discuss feasibility of city/school coordinating art festival in downtown Lowell and refer issue to the Arts and Culture Subcommittee. Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Kennedy. Mayor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. The motion does speak for itself. Over the course of the last several months, I've attended a number of functions, both at Mill Number 5, actually with the city manager and other members of the council over the holiday time, doing some Christmas shopping, Western Ave Studios, the Whistler House, et cetera. And a number of artists have approached myself, and I know even the city manager, that it would be nice to have an event for all of the artists that we clearly have attracted to the city and do wonderful work. Many of them, you can see their works of art in some of the banks who have made that part of their, their process when they're doing their banks over, building new branches. They use local art, and so I thought it was at least an idea worthy to look at having a festival in the downtown. I know there's some discussions about closing some of the streets, and I think it's really a very good idea that would attract lots of people in the downtown if our local artists can go outside and display their art. So, Mr. Manager, if you could look into the feasibility of it. I know that the artists throughout this city would embrace this idea, and an opportunity for us to showcase all the wonderful work that they do in the city. That's in their studios, but that everybody under one location can come and display their art. So. That's the intent of the motion. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. I support the motion of the mayor. I think this is a project that needs to be done. We as a council have met with many members of the art community, and all of us have been present to listen to what they have talked about. This is a request that I think can really become one of the economic engines that the city needs to turn around and be a true destination city. And I think by having an art festival in Lowell, a major art festival, this will be one of those instruments in making change in this city. I know the city of Delray, Florida, Delray Beach, Florida, many years ago was a city that was struggling to survive, and they made a major effort to support the arts. And as a result of this past weekend, or 2 weeks ago, they had a major festival in the town of Delray that really was the biggest economic boost for the community, and it has turned the community around. And I think if we recognize the arts as being one of those economic engines that can work, we will be successful as a city, as a true destination city. So I support the mayor completely in this effort to create an art festival, a major art festival. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Council Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. It is a very good motion, and as chair of the Culture Subcommittee, I'll call a motion to get the interested parties together. But I do want to call to the attention of my colleagues an article that was in the Boston Globe just a couple of days ago, and the title of it is "Lowell is a City of Canals and Culture." And it really was an excellent piece on the city and the art community, what has happened over the last, say, 10 years in really having it be a creative economy that's now driving our city. So what I'd like to do is give this to either the city clerk or the city manager and have it distributed to my colleagues, because it is a very good article that promotes Lowell as a cultural community. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Manager?
I'll also share with there was an article about 10 days ago in the Globe also about Mill Number 5, and we'll include that in the package, both articles for your review.
Thank Thank you. Counselor Martin?
Yeah, the thing noteworthy about the article that Councilor Milanazzo brings up, I think, is that it was in the travel section. You know, interesting things to do, and they have a section about day trips in various spots in New England. So occasionally we get mentioned in the north section or something like that, or more often for a crime event, but to actually be a destination in the travel section is sort of exactly what we're looking for. So, so it was good to see that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next motion, 9-5, by Mayor Elliott. Request city manager provide an update on construction schedule for new courthouse and contact DCAM on reuse of Superior Court. Seconded by Councilor Samaras. Mayor Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I thought it would be good to get an update, Mr. Manager, on the new courthouse, because I know that the footprint has expanded, and believe it or not, in your former life, I'm looking at minutes from April 2011, when the reuse of the Superior Court was discussed at that point in time by yourself, quite frankly. But I think it's important if we can continue to stay ahead of this, knowing that the new courthouse is supposed to begin construction, this year, and we don't want to lose an opportunity for that Superior Courthouse to be reused. And I think the minutes, which I will I'll have Celine, the mayor's aide, send out to members of the council. It's pretty specific on what the process is, and certainly if it's going to go to state agencies, and if there's no interest, then the city gets an option to do something with it. So I guess, we're thinking about the Smith Baker and how that just kind of sat and was not properly mothballed, and we want to reuse that, knowing the Superior Court will be vacant because the registry is now going to be moving into the new courthouse. That will be vacant, and I just think it'd be good for us to stay on top of it. As mentioned in the minutes by DCAM, Deputy General Counsel, unlike other courthouses, Worcester, local zoning is already compatible with likely future uses. So I know you know all this, Mr. Manager. You've sat in with many individuals in the community, but knowing that this is going to take place, I think it'd be helpful and important to get, contact DCAM again and say, what's the status? Has it gone through the state disposition process, and can we start polling? I think the word is polling local agencies. So that's the intent of the motion. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I think it's a great motion that we're staying ahead of the 8 ball by keeping a constant eye on it and getting updates through state officials. But there's no problem through the maker of the motion. I'd like to amend it to include also the infrastructure that's supposed to take place. Now, the outgoing governor was here in the fall, granting $15 million for the infrastructure there to expand Jackson Street to Thorndike and the Rotary and whatnot, because that ties into the courthouse as well, and that is also a deterrent for investors in the Hamilton Canal, as the lack of infrastructure. It's tough getting in and out of there as it stands right now. So there's no problem with the maker of the motion. I'd like to have an update there as well, because that's probably going to happen sooner than we get approval from the courthouse. So thank you very much.
Any further discussion?
No objection. I'll make that.
Okay, so
if you want to make that motion to amend, I'll second it.
So all those in favor of the amended motion by Council Belanger, seconded by Mayor Elliott, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Last motion of the night, 9-6, by Mayor Elliott, request substance abuse subcommittee meet to address the heroin overdose problem in the city. Seconded by Councilor Mercia. Mayor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. This motion does speak for itself. I know that we set up a substance abuse subcommittee, and this council and members of the state delegation have been meeting and discussing opioid abuse, and we do know that there's a heroin issue in the city, but the concern that I'd like to raise tonight for the Substance Abuse Subcommittee meet is regarding the heroin overdose, and actually thanks to Council Mercia requiring the use of, the fire department and police department have Narcan in all of the, on them at all times. We are saving dozens every week, dozens of lives of people that are overdosing by the use of this Narcan. And it's a significant problem throughout the city, and we need to find out how to address it. Overdoses in Lowell, and this is not something we want to talk about, but it's something that we have to address in this city. So, is there an easy solution? I don't think so. But the Narcan is saving people, and unfortunately, they go into the emergency room, they get let out, and it happens again. So that's the essence of the motion, Mr. Manager, and I hope the subcommittee can meet. Police officers, firefighters, they're saving lives, but it's just not good. They're overdosing because of the what's in the heroin itself, et cetera. So I hope we can come up with some solution on how to do this, because it's even the doctors at the hospitals are saying they're saving 10, 12, a shift or something of that nature. So that's the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Council Rourke?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. With regards to this motion, instead of going to a subcommittee, and then have a report read to the city council, I wonder if the manager can just give the council a report on what's being done as far as different agencies and partners in this problem, and maybe just report it to the council in general, so that everybody can be here, everybody can ask questions. Maybe have the fire chief, the police chief here, and Mr. Singleton from the Department of Health. I think it's a subject that deserves our full attention, deserves to be heard by everybody. As the mayor had stated, heroin and opioid abuse affects everybody, and I think that keeping it in the council meeting, I think would be a benefit for everybody involved that could be tuning in or to be here to listen about the problem, to see what's being done about the problem, and how we can attack the problem in the future. Thank you.
Mayor Elliott?
Yeah, no, I don't have any objection at all whatsoever. I think we need a full discussion, a full exploration. I know members of the state delegation might want to be involved, particularly Representative Golden, who's done, yeoman's work on this. So I think it'd be very helpful. And I know the police are. I mean, we heard from the chief tonight. With impact team and going into these neighborhoods and these apartment buildings where they know there's drugs being dealt, primarily heroin. So I think we're attacking, the drug problem on that end, and we have to do something on this end because it's important and it's affecting our community. So I welcome that.
Thank you. Council Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I do want to commend the mayor for this motion. It's this topic. It's not easy to talk about, but nonetheless, it's not an issue, a crisis here in the city, and that's the proper terminology to use. It's unfortunate, but that's the truth, and one that deserves the full attention of this entire body. I agree with Councilor Rourke, what he's trying to achieve, but we put together the Substance Abuse Subcommittee for a reason as well, okay? Now, that is to take this problem out there, out to the streets, out to the neighborhoods, to the schools, okay, for outreach. Okay, that's part of why we, at the same time, we do need to keep the problem as a body as a whole. So I do agree with Councilor Rourke, but we still need to stay on this because we need to travel, so to speak. We need to take this issue out there because it's a problem, okay? There's many misconceptions out there that in the other communities, in the more affluent suburbs, that it's not their problem. It's a city problem. And it's dead wrong, okay? This is an issue that has no boundaries. It's rich, it's poor, it's city, and it's towns, okay? I talk to police officers all over the Commonwealth, and it's just as bad in the suburbs, okay? A smaller percentage due to the population. But it's a big problem here in the city. It's one that Lowell has to get a headlock on and take to the State House, because we need help. And we need to, as an administration's being sworn in on Thursday, we need to let them know as a body and united with other gateway cities that we need treatment facilities, we need help on this issue. I know this incoming administration has a great understanding of this issue and and the wreckage it's doing to our society. And we need to really be on the front lines on this if we want to get something done. So I do agree with the motion and as amended with Councilor Rourke, but at the same time, plan on the subcommittee, we need to get out there and get united on this with other gateway cities, and because there's an old saying, there is strength in numbers. And as the chief, I was hoping was still here, he is not, but the figures are alarming, okay? Drug use harbors violent crimes. There's no two ways about it, they go hand in hand. And the amount of arrests that are drug-related, violent crimes that are drug-related, well over 50%. Take drugs, illicit drugs out of the equation, we got a great city. We got a very quiet city. It's not a problem we're going to arrest our way out of. We need treatment facilities, and we need help. So, great motion. I do support it, but nonetheless, it's one that we really need to take the lead on throughout the Commonwealth. So, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, I agree with you. All those in favor of the amended motion, say aye. All those opposed, Mayor?
Having no further items on the agenda, the Chair would like to recognize Council Milanazzo, Council Rourke, and Council Leahy.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to publicly thank you and City Council Mercier, and I know Deputy Director Kevin Coughlin going to Cambodia to begin sister city discussions in Cambodia, and I'd like to just publicly recognize you and thank you for doing that on behalf of the city, and wish you Godspeed and a safe trip. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Council Rourke?
Much the same. Best of luck and have a good trip. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Leahy, Council Belanger.
Yeah, same thing. Just wish you a safe trip, and it's important, especially the population that we have in the city, and I think it's going to be a good trip for both of you and for the city. So thank you for doing it.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. Council Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to wish all of you a happy and a safe trip. You have been great ambassadors of the city for a number of years, and I know that will continue roughly 2,000 miles from here, and the fact that you're paying for this trip out of pocket. And I think the public needs to know that, and the folks at home, that you're taking this time to represent your city, and you're paying for it out of your own pocket. So I commend all of you for taking the time, the financial needs to make such a trip, and I wish all of you the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Council. I appreciate it. Council Mercier, would you like to?
I haven't got on that plane yet. Don't say it yet. In 2 weeks you can say something, but not now.
No, thank you. And we'll look forward to perhaps another trip when other members could go. It's a long flight. Councilor Mercier and I, we know each other very well. Served together for 18 years. I have a feeling after 29 hours in the plane, we'll know each other a little bit better. But, you
won't.
But we are, it is an honor. We've been invited by both the United Nations and the Kingdom of Cambodia. We'll be going to the Thai border where 99, if not 100% of residents that have made it to the United States, and particularly in Lowell, went through a refugee camp called Kawidan. And if you mention it to any Cambodian American in the city, they'll say, oh, yes, that's where I came from. They spent anywhere from a year to 7 years there. So it's we're joining workers, relief workers, as well as hundreds of people around the country going there, and we are paying for itself. My wife had forgotten about that until now, Council Belanger, but we think it's important, and then we'll go to Cambodia to represent the city, and we're certainly honored to do so. So thank you very much, and we'll be sending pictures and information to you, to Celine, and she'll send it out. So thank you very much. Further discussion, further items, entertain a motion to adjourn by Council Samaras, second by Council Rourke. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. That motion carries. This meeting stands adjourned.